All right, so with our handsome Mr. T, he says, I like this chew toy. You are so stinking cute. So we're gonna warm up with a couple little find its. He just did a great job working his place behavior, going to the dog cot, and then also working a little bit with that stay, while I was including a little bit with distraction with me going to a chair. So for this beautiful boy, if you're ever finding that certain skills are not going as well, I know we just dived into it. Oh my goodness, big sneezes. Oh my gosh. Teddy, come. Yes. You may have to at times lower the criteria. So remember that being flexible in your training plan is going to really set you up for good success. Because if you're always thinking our end goal is going to be this, this, and that, your babe or even you may not be feeling it. And maybe you have to lower the criteria or pick other skills that might be more attainable. So I would recommend too, if you're ever feeling overwhelmed with like the amount of things you'd like your puppy to learn, is I would recommend write out skills and sort of how-tos on an index card, and then pick 3 skills that you might work on for the week. Though, if your puppy's struggling, you may feel free to rotate to an easier skill and replace one of them that might be too challenging. So right now he's a little distracted. Teddy, come. Yes, what a good job. So maybe we'll do a couple more of these little find its with recall. He's like, I did not see where that went. We'll toss one out, was a little easier. There we go. Teddy, come. Yes, good job. His growth spurt is amazing. He has become such a butt high individual, which is adorable. I love it when their back ends start to grow bigger than their front ends and they look just gangly and awkward. Oh my gosh, he's so cute when he goes to play. Hopefully he just doesn't knock over the camera. So he went to go grab his toy and he lost it behind the dog bed. I think he might need assistance. You got it okay? Good job. Ready? So this handsome guy likes to play with his toy. Ready? Oh, he's a wild man. So a lot of dogs do enjoy real quick, like play with you. A lot of folks like to wrestle with their dogs, and I'm not against it. But I would be a little cautionary because for some pups, when they get really jazzed, then mouthing you has become part of the game. So it doesn't mean that your dog is trying to be mean or dominate you or be a jerk or whatever. But a lot of times when dogs get really jazzed, from puppies to teenagers to adults, when the arousal goes up, their mouth turns into its own little creature, and sometimes it becomes more wild, which then means they might make more contact with you versus like items you'd prefer. So he's like, where'd it go? So I would highly recommend that if he enjoys play, is play with a toy in his mouth, and you might play like, again, like you're going to grab him and catch him. So you could play a little bit with chew them, sir, with keep away. But the downfall with sometimes keep away is for a lot of puppies, then when they grab something they shouldn't and you're chasing them around, it becomes the same game. It can also be a little dangerous if your puppy happens to get away from you, and now in your attempt to catch them, they keep playing keep away and they keep going further. Teddy, come. So I would recommend, if you are going to play with a toy, and sometimes they like to play like you'll never catch me now, I highly recommend to make it where you rotate and then you have moments where they do check in and they do come back to you from the environment. You had to go grab another drink. It's a very thirsty boy. Well, it's hard because he's also, a lot of his snacks are technically dry, like his kibble is very dry. Remember that if your babe is on a kibble, like a crunchy food diet, there's some that are better and some that are not. So just like with us though, but remember, the more processed the food, the less healthy really it is for anybody. Nice check-in. He's like, nope, I was coming for my toy. Good job, sir. Oh, here we are. Good job. So back to the food is, if your dog is on a kibble-based food, like a crunchy food, they're really only getting about 10% moisture in that diet. So a lot of dogs are chronically dehydrated. So it can be nice to sometimes rehydrate or make sure that your babe is also ingesting more liquids throughout the day, which I know can seem a little bit challenging when you have a puppy that is still working on house training. So sometimes it can be nice to add even more moist food to their diet, and even real food. So this concept of having food that's only for one type of animal, I get you're not going to feed a horse, for example, steak, but you're not, for example, limiting your dog's ability to have real food because it's been deemed people food. So remember, blueberries are blueberries for everybody. and strawberries and vice versa, and chicken breast is chicken breast. So when it comes to your dog, the more you can add more real ingredients, the less likely they are to have cancer and also other ailments. So just like with us, I know that there's genetics and there's also what you've been exposed to for, like, let's say chemicals or pollutants in the environment. But for a lot of dogs, a lot of the health issues are stemming from their diet. So if you can go onto a more real food-based diet or even add extra goodies to their existing kibble, you're going to help add years to their life. So for us, imagine if we had Special K or Pop-Tarts for the rest of our lives, complete and balanced, has all your vitamins and minerals, but would you really be that well off? Probably not. So when it comes to your babes, the difficulty some folks have is home cooked or homemade meals can sometimes be lacking in nutrients, which then makes them a little bit more unbalanced, which can lead to deficiencies. So if you're ever unsure about some great options, I would highly recommend to check out, there's a book called The Forever Dog Cookbook. And then her name is Karen, and I can't remember her last name right now, but she is a veterinarian, and she has this wonderful book that dives into nutrition in general, but then also ways to help add certain nutrients to your dog for certain things that they're having challenging moments with. From ailments to arthritis to different things like that too, and just in general to help your dog have a longer, happier life with you. They're only here so long, and to keep them along, with you a little longer would be amazing. So the Forever Dog Cookbook might be a great venue to take a peek-see at. She also has a really great documentary called Pet Fooled. I do highly recommend it, so you can at least get a feel for understanding like what the pet food industry is all about. It is very similar to the human food industry, where a lot of it is very skewed with labels are not really the thing you think they are, or for example, what a quality ingredient you thought may have been might be a very low standard for what it's defined as. So like, for example, for our country, unlike in the UK, there are certain ingredients that are completely outlawed in Europe that are easily used in our foods. So when it comes to artificial yucks, I am not saying that I am the healthiest eater in the world. I plenty of times have ramen noodles and have lots of junk, but it's not like my full staple for my every single meal for the rest of my life. So having some junk here and there, no biggie. But when it becomes your main food source, not so good. So when it comes to our pups, remember sometimes what you put in is very much so what you can get out. And there's a lot of ailments that cause trouble for dogs, and then that leads to more trouble. So I would definitely take a peek-see in some of those different resources. So Mr. T says, whatever you want, lady. So let's say right now he's enjoying his chew item. I'm going to try a little bit with that treat and retreat, like we did a little bit with the dog bed, even though I was technically reinforcing for that stay. It was a little bit of a double whammy where he's getting both at the same time. So the benefit of having your puppy enjoying something and then practicing you approaching is non-confrontational is it can be really good for alleviating potentially down the road negative associations with you. Sorry, these ones roll. Negative associations with you coming towards them when they have something of value. So because you had mentioned, I know mom had told me that sometimes he goes and he grabs something just to get some sort of connection with you. Nice job. So we want to make sure that if we are by mistake fueling those flames, he might think the full sequence is grab the toddler's toy, get engagement from you, which turns into a game, and then get reinforced for, let's say, for example, dropping the thing. So the puppy thinks the whole thing is what you're looking for. So I would be very proactive in limiting what item he can play with, but also preventing the rehearsal of swiping things within the home. I know you guys had mentioned that he does have like his puppy zone, and a lot of times you're using the leash in the home, which I highly recommend, especially when you have a young dog, but especially when you have small children. So he does not realize how big he is, and that if he plows into somebody, he could hurt them. So because the way puppies wrestle, and some of them are very much so body, bombardment, so they do like gladiator play, and then others are more like play bow, frolic, and like wandering around but don't make much contact. So that can be, of course, kind of a little overwhelming for a small human if they're barely meandering and now here comes your puppy to plow into them. So definitely recommend using your gear within the home and work it that way. So like right here, he's doing a great job. So notice how he's like, great. Anytime you want to come visit when I have my chew, perfect. So then from here, I could go, ready, Teddy, and I could do a little find it and get him up and move. I'm not taking the item away, but I want him to realize that you can disengage from your chew item and I don't instantly swipe it from you, but checking with me has great value, even with things you're allowed to have. So I know we mentioned this a little bit earlier with Miss R. So Ruby was working with some leave-its. But this is where, again, if your babe doesn't quite know how to let go of things they can have, how are they going to let go of things that they shouldn't have? So you'll see that a lot of the skills kind of flow back and forth and they kind of are connected. So I would highly recommend that if they're struggling in one venue, it could be because they haven't quite learned it in another. So, and that's where, again, I always think about it almost like a spider web. Things are kind of connected, even though they may not feel that way. So right here, we're just going to work a little bit with some loose leash walking. Such a brilliant boy. 2, if your puppy is taking their food kind of hard, which he's doing great right now, but I would feed flat palm, where what I end up doing, so if you can't see, you'd have your food in your hand. I like to put my thumb over the snack so it doesn't fall out. He's so cute when he goes to play. And that way my food doesn't fall. So I have it in my hand, I cover it with my thumb. When I go to feed, he's like, hold up, I'm busy. I can then feed and move my thumb out of the way. And now the puppy just eats the food right from my palm. If littles are participating, I would typically recommend, boy, you sure did make a mess when you had some water, but that's okay, is I would recommend, so again, I'm feeding, like I mentioned earlier, flat palm. So you dropped it, sir. So you can feed him like he were livestock, where if he doesn't quite know how to do a gentle or easy, and he's kind of eating your whole hand, I would do flat palm. You can, for littles, like I was mentioning, you can also feed the floor. So you might go, yes, and then the little one might toss the food. So that way, your puppy's still being reinforced for like a check-in or for practice, but it doesn't have to make contact. So if the littles are like, ew, slime, no big deal, they can feed the ground. Or even adults if they don't like the slime. So again, we might go into some more loose leash walking. So this could be with me, let's go, heel, walk, whatever slogan you prefer. So if I lose him, I might do my little kissy noise, regain his attention with my little positive interrupter. He's like, oh, there's my friend. Is it stuck in your jowls? So this is just so much work, guys. I bet they go home exhausted. Ready? Find it. So because even though they're not practicing skills the whole time, they are still, again, getting exposed to a lot of novelty, be it from playtime with their buddies to working in the environment to going out for a potty break and hearing the trucks and all the traffic. So there's a lot of stuff for them to take in. But it's been really nice for them in the sense of, oh, maybe I'll grab the toy he wants real quick. But it's been a really nice engagement for the beauties to see these novel things. And I'm sorry, I'll be right back. And then now, from seeing these fun things or these little, spooky things, there's one of his favorites, then your puppy can start to create these better positive associations. He's like, this one is the winner. Oh, you want to play? He's like, yes. So let's say that was very nice. Let's say he's not as good with his drop-its. I would recommend to feed for the let go. So ready? Go get it. So you could try a little bit with the beginning stages of, let's say, fetch. Though remember, he's a baby and his joints and ligaments are still growing till he's about 2, maybe even 2.5 because he's a big man. So be careful with how you play fetch, because even for smaller breed dogs or medium-sized dogs, you can actually cause some pretty good damage running on slippery floors. Yes. Or if the intensity of fetch is pretty hardcore, the running and stopping and twirling is what causes a lot of injuries. So right here, he's like, hold up, my jowl had a snack in it. So right here, he grabs it. Nice. We might go, ready? Yes. So even if I don't even get to say the release word, which could be drop it, give, or out, I'm going to feed him for when he lets go. What a smart boy. Yes. So I'm going to feed again. If your puppies tend to grab for the toys, you're trying to grab it again, I like to go right into a little find it, create some space, and then comfortably go and grab for my toy so we could play again. So we might go, ready? Go get it. says it rolled really far away. Look at that smart boy. He says, bye, see you tomorrow. Where are you going? Oh, nice job. You ready? Drop it? Yes. So you could also lose your snack. So as your puppy's getting more comfortable with letting go, you can then start to preemptively say your cue word for letting go. And for him, go get it. Might be, for example, drop it. He just kicked it even further. It's like, I've almost got it. Nice. Oh, you lost a snack? That was a good little drop it all by his lonesome. Nice. So ready? We'll do maybe one more and then we'll call it a day because you're getting tired. Nice. So right here, we might go ready, drop it. Yes, and feed for that. Good boy. You could also play this game with 2 toys, but sometimes for some puppies, they have a hard time letting go. So I want him to think there's a lot of great value in letting go, but also disengaging so I can comfortably grab it without him bombarding me. Oh, shucks. That was my bad. I waited too long. Sometimes when you gotta go, you gotta go. So don't worry, Mr. T, no big deal. So obviously being a baby, he's only like around 4-ish months old, maybe a little bit over. So there's gonna be moments where I always tell students, this is not like an indoor home environment. This was a doggy daycare for like 10 years. So then I've been here for like another almost 6 years. So even though I do my darndest to clean and sanitize, there's plenty of times where your puppy may have to go and I missed it because I'm blabbing and we're discussing skills. So it does happen. This would never be a moment to scold because if we scold puppies for making a mistake on the house training, your puppy's not going to realize you're mad because of where they went. They're going to think you're mad because they went in the first place. And then your puppy is going to be scared to go in front of you. And then when you bring them out and you're there watching, they may not want to go again then. So your puppy tries to avoid being near you, which means they tend to go in other rooms and the sequence starts again. Oh gosh, darn it, puppy. And then they get again nervous to go to the restroom. So obviously in here, it was a dog, play place. So for him, it still smells like an indoor dog park. So no big deal. So, but I'll tidy up after the handsome monkey. He did a really great job. So we'll probably call it a day for Mr. T. He says, I'm busy with my chews, so have a great day, lady. But really nice job for the handsome guy. So we'll give him a little breather. I'll tidy up a little bit. So don't worry, handsome man. And we'll call it a day for the beautiful boy.